it's in some ways a relief to have last night behind us, just because of how emotional it was. I think, guys are, ready to play. We had a good win last night, and a team that's coming in tonight that's we have a lot of history with the last couple of years. So hopefully we can kind of build on what we did last night and put a streak together.
You played, Draymond with Wiggins and Kuminga last night. I know that's been, pairing that you've been hesitant to play at times. Does his inclusion in the lineup combination, Draymond, do you think maybe potentially help you play that pairing?
It's a great combo last night, and they were out there with Steph and BP, so we felt like a good mix of playmaking and the athleticism that those guys bring. So we'll definitely go back to that and continue to try to put together lineups that can hold up defensively.
What specifically about Draymond in that, do you think?
Well, he just ties everything together defensively. He the way he talks, the way he helps and recovers, and I think it accentuates the ball pressure that that JK and Wiggs can put on, and there were several possessions where Draymond kind of blew up the pick and roll, and then JK and Wiggs stayed in front and forced a contested shot at the end of the shot clock. So those were great looks for us defensively.
Hey Steve, Matt George, ABC 10 in Sacramento. You mentioned the history between these two teams. This team is in a similar position, the Kings in a similar position record-wise to where they were last time, or last year at this time. I'm curious how you've seen from last season in the playoffs and even early on in this season, looking at the film, how you've seen this team improve and grow and what Mike's been able to do with the group.
Well, I mean, since the beginning of last year, they've really put together something that has staying power. They have a really good offensive formula. They're tough to guard. They've got shooting everywhere, and Sabonis and Fox are such a great two-man combination. So they put a lot of pressure on you. It looks like, we haven't seen them in a while, probably a month or 5 weeks, and I know Mike's experimented a little bit with the lineup. But I know, Herder's been starting again, so it looks like the same group that we saw earlier in the year. But we're all sort of in a similar place where it's the middle of the season. You're trying to find the very best version of yourself, and two-way basketball is the name of the game, and that's what we're all searching for.
Hey Steve, Jonathan was obviously a real offensive focal point last night, and it's a small sample size, but his usage is actually up just a bit over the last few games since he moved back to the bench. Was putting him in that reserve role, were you guys looking to make him more of a primary scorer doing that by chance?
For sure, we wanted to get him the ball more and to put him in more spots to attack. And he's a young guy. It's his third year, and it's kind of a natural time for him to really start to come into his own and feel how he can impact the game. And we've shown him a lot of the numbers, his shot chart, anything in the paint, he's elite. He just, the way he explodes and can get over people, through people. So we're just trying to emphasize to him, the more he's around the paint, the more he's attacking, the better. Last night was obviously incredible night, 11 for 11, but I think only 2 of those hoops were outside the paint. So he really did a great job of attacking, and I feel like he's really growing in his awareness of where he can really make the biggest impact.
How would you assess Corey's minutes last night, and what dynamic are you looking for him to bring when he's out there?
Corey was great last night. He knocked down a couple threes, but he's always going to get our team organized, and he's always going to be a pesky defender. We had him on Bogdanovic. We know he's not going to get lost with a matchup like that. He's another ball handler, ball mover. So I like to have him out there. With Chris not being available, I like to have Corey out there to balance out lineups and to get us organized.
Coach Kerr, how you doing? Trace Jackson Davis. he's been really effective, for the Warriors. What's your thoughts on, players such as him, they get those extra 2 or 3 years extra in college, and, they're able to play by it, alongside with, a person drafted only with 1 year's experience and stuff. Just want to get your thoughts about him having that type of experience, staying in there a little bit longer, probably more than he should, but when he comes into the pros, he's able to help out a team like the Warriors.
Well, it's a dynamic that is becoming pretty obvious in the league. Feels like half the league is 19 or 20 years old with very little basketball experience. And so the guys who are going to come in and make an impact, generally, in terms of really impacting winning, are usually going to be the ones who have a lot more experience. You look at Jaime Jaquez, right now. You look at Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, you look at our own team. I know these guys are older now, but Steph, Clay, Draymond, they all played multiple years of college, but that's so rare these days. And so the vast majority of players are coming into this league, and they just desperately need a foundation of fundamentals and game experience. And they're so talented. I mean, the guys coming in today can dribble and pass, or dribble and shoot, better than guys 20 years ago. But it's the kind of the knowledge, the wisdom that comes from playing a lot, getting a lot of reps, that puts a guy like Trace at a big advantage. 120 plus college games, Mike Woodson as his head coach, NBA style defense. So he came in and he immediately knew patterns and recognized rotations and all that stuff. But it's kind of how it works in anything, whether it's basketball or anything else. I mean, experience really matters.
Hi, Steve. Fox was named to the player pool the other day for the Olympic team. Just wanted to get your thoughts on his game, his growth, and his selection to the pool.
Yeah, I mean, he belongs on that list for sure. He's one of the best players in the league. He's really developed, I think, especially the last couple of years. He was always a guy who was tough to handle, and he was going to put up big numbers. But the way he's played the last couple of years with this team, this iteration of the Kings, it's such a well-balanced roster, and the connection he has with Sabonis, it just feels like he's become a true winning player, and I mean that in that as a huge compliment, because I think there's a big difference between being a high-scoring player and a winning player. I just think he's a big-time winning player now.
Steve, I went down to Santa Cruz last week, and they're on a little roll now. Nick was saying that at that level, that some of the balancing act is developing and also trying to win and finding a middle ground. How have you sort of from afar seen maybe some growth there? And I know you probably don't get to talk to him every day or see every game, but maybe you get some updates from time to time.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole idea of Santa Cruz. We're trying to develop young players, and we've had a great synergy with our Santa Cruz franchise the last few years. We've had a lot of important players on our team who have spent time in Santa Cruz. The idea is you want these guys to get as many game reps as possible, but you also want winning to matter. One of the things I love about the Santa Cruz franchise is the games are sold out all the time. There's 3,000 fans in that great little venue, and it's loud, and they care. They want their team to win, and we like the fact that our players feel that energy from our fans there. So it's been a great connection, but a really great dynamic to have Santa Cruz, feeding our talent.
Do you envision, if you need to have more staff here on occasion? I know you bring coaches back and forth sometimes too, once in a while, don't you?
We do,
Yeah.
We bring coaches back and forth. Sometimes they practice here in our building. We've had several of our current staff members coach in Santa Cruz. So it's not just a place, we even have performance staff members who were in Santa Cruz. So the franchise is really used not just for player development, but coaching development and performance as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cool, thank you.